G'day everyone, Gooby here with another Torchlight Infinite Outlaw Season video, or Torchlight Infinite in general. So Andre has just announced a Crow's Corner Q&A where you can submit your questions, thoughts, or feedback and suggestions, and maybe just a way to vent about a bug you've encountered. Which is funny because when we're at TorchCon, they were just randomly picking people out of the audience, and one of the people that stood up just complained about the bugs that he was having in the game, and it really threw a curveball to the live Q&A. So I just have a couple of suggestions that I would love to see in Torchlight Infinite going forward, and the first one is these portals. I would love to see these portals added to maps. So in maps you have confusion cards, and if you are running multiple maps at endgame, sometimes you select the confusion cards, which is a set of 4 maps that are influenced by the confusion card that you select. Now, currently, when you do these confusion card sequences, you select the buffs and stuff that you want to apply to those maps at the start, and it remembers your choices. A couple of seasons ago, you used to have to put in the Netherrealm resonance every single map. You used to put in your compasses every single map, and it never used to retain this quality of life. I would like to see that go one step further, and when you get to the end of the map, just have the challenge again or the end confusion option. That way you're at least doing one of these maps to reset, or you can just do the auto reset down the bottom right there. And I think that would just add an extra layer of the quality of life to those chasing the confusion cards, so you don't have to come back to the Ember's Rest every time. Come back in here, click through 3 or 4 menus, select your map, and go into the next one. I think that should be reserved for those that just want to spam the same map over and over again. It would just be a nice little addition to the fluidity and overall game feel for doing consecutive maps, chasing confusion cards. The next quality of life changes, I would like to see a bit of a rework to how Time Mark 7, Time Mark 8 and beyond works. So currently there hasn't been much of an evolution in how loot drops in Time Mark 7 and Time Mark 8. However, there has been the addition of Profound and Deep Space in recent seasons, and I think it's about time we rework how Time Mark 8 loot works, because currently when you're running through Time Mark 7, the amount of loot that drops on the ground, there's not really anything that drops. So you're running through a map and it's just boring to play because nothing worthwhile is really dropping on the ground. Sure, you get some things like a Turner, and those drop on the ground and they're worth a little bit to sell, or you'll do Oasis and you see some stuff drop, but it's not really much of a mapping experience. So I would like to see a slight rework to how loot works in Time Mark 7, and with the whole philosophy of helping people transition from Time Mark 7 to Time Mark 8, because Time Mark 7 at the moment is incredibly boring, and some people, if they don't have a good build, a good starter character or something, they really struggle and they fall into a rut and they start to dislike the game. I love Torchlight Infinite, and I really want to see people stick around and enjoy the entire experience, not just the loot experience when they get to Profound or T8-2 and Deep Space. So I'd love to see a rework of Time Mark 7. And to enable that, I would love to see a massive boost to Fine Embers and remove Precious Embers from Time Mark 7, making those Time Mark 8 and above. And then we can just have all of the crafting for the Time Mark 7 stuff be Flame Sand and Fine Embers. but we need to boost the amount of fine embers that you get. To do that, we can change how recycling works for common gear or non-legendary and legendary. So just replace this magic rare down here with legendary gear. So we just make it so if you recycle non-legendary gear, it gives you fine embers. And if you recycle legendary gear, it gives you some extra flame sand. Because at the moment in the game, when you recycle gear, it gives you flame residue. Now, flame residue has basically no purpose at all except to turn into flame sand. It is utterly worthless because that trades into flame sand at what's the rate? So 100 flame dust or flame residues turns into 1 flame sand, which is utterly worthless. So if we just changed it so the gear recycled into so change this to fine embers and change legendary gear into, it can stay as flame sand. And then in time mark 7, when you're crafting a piece of gear, with the change to T1 affixes, because you really need T1 affixes now to transition into time mark 8. T2 gear doesn't really cut it anymore with the recent buffs to time mark 8. So to that end, I would like to see Tier 1 affix crafting to be lowered into the item level 82 to 85 range, which is time mark 7 gear drops. And then you could, to I guess keep it in line with the philosophy of getting you out of time mark 7 and into time mark 8, you can remove dream interpretation from time mark 7 gear, which is the T1 affix crafting, and leave that in item level 86 plus gear. So I don't think it's really necessary on the T7 gear. However, it's definitely needed in the T8 gear to step you up into Profound. What does this mean for time mark 8 and above? So if we look at the recent changes this season, we've got the addition to sequence crafting, and sequence crafting is actually really strong. Even if you get a bad sequence, it's actually quite good for your character. So if that starts dropping on item level 86 plus gear, which it does at the moment, it's not, you can't craft sequences onto item level 85 or below gear, so that's a step up that you can only get from item level 86. And then we are moving dream interpretation up into the item level 86 plus gear. And then obviously you also have priceless gear that can start dropping, which is item level 100. That also includes base affixes, tier 0 and tier 0 plus, as well as ultimate affixes, which is a huge buff from then on as well. So we have the 3 clear tiers. Tier 7, which is just your basic crafting up to tier 1 affixes. Tier 8, you start getting item level 86 gear, and it has sequence crafting and dream interpretation, as well as your tier 1 affixes. It does cost 1 flame elementium and precious embers. Precious embers would start dropping in time mark 8. So what you are having drop in that time mark actually influences how you go further, versus at the moment it's kind of all over the shop. And then to go into Profound and Deep Space, then you would look at start to getting your priceless gear with your base affixes, your double corroded, and your ultimate affixes and stuff like that. So I think a bit of a rework of how the progression happens from time mark 7, 8 and Profound would really improve the balance and the overall player experience, so everyone is enjoying the loot experience all the way through, not just when you manage to get to time mark 8 and beyond. So that's all I've got for this video. Just a couple of quick changes, well, probably not quick for the developers, but I think overall it would be a far better gaming experience for everyone involved. That's all I've got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.